Hey, good morning, everybody. John here with FNP Wargamers, and this is the FNP Morning Show. I'm hearing some knocking outside my door, so I might have maintenance coming by for some reason. So if I have to stop the show, I'll restart it. Um, Kind of weird. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, so let's get to the show. Sorry. Um, Man, we got a lot to kind of cover today. Some of it salty, some of it really cool. Um, and we'll see what we see and see if you guys like it. So, first up, Marvel Crisis Protocol. As I said in the past, I'm gonna be starting with this going forward, as people tend to drop off at the end because they're here for the 40K or the Age of Sigmar. So I'm here to kick this off first, and then we'll go into it. So Marvel Crisis Protocol from Atomic Mass Games, free rules online. If you ever want to check it out, just get an idea of how the game plays. Definitely, as I've said many times before, definitely go on there. Just it doesn't hurt to download the rules. You can actually read the rules, get an understanding how this game plays, and see that this is a truly competitive, fast-paced game. If you like to compete with a balanced rule system, this is the game to go. If you don't want a balanced rule system, you want to keep playing stuff like Warhammer 40,000 all the time with no break in between, go right ahead. It's not going to hurt. I'm just trying to give you guys an alternative. So, with that said, they just did an errata update and a rulebook update. The rulebook just had a couple changes that they've added in from all the different errata and such, but they also included in the at the end in the appendix is the upcoming inclusion of the Infinity Gems. If you're not familiar with the Infinity Gems, they are, if you've not seen the Marvel movies, then you are way behind the power curve, which is okay. Now, the Infinity Gems are these near limitless powerful items that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Sorry, to think about it, 6 of them, and each of them have their own power set. Now, in this game in particular, you're going to be able to add them to certain characters, and these certain characters will have a keyword on it it's an innate superpower called Gem Bearer. It's an innate power, doesn't cost anything to have it, and depending if they have that word or not, you can include an Infinity Gem in your character roster. Now, the character roster is, you make a roster of 10 characters, and you don't worry about points or anything. And that's what you're going to be pulling from when you sit down to play a game. And you're going to end up with about 5 characters, depending on the point level of the scenario. Now, these Infinity Gems are going to be counted as characters. So when you build that 10 roster, it's going to include your villains, your superheroes, and Infinity Gems. So out of those 10, those gems, if you want them, have to be a part of it. And then when you're ready to use them, you give them to, basically, you take whatever the cost is, like the example we have here, the Infinity Gem, the Mind Stone. You take the threat value and you add that onto whatever the character is. So if I give it to Loki, which I think is a 5 or 6, let's say he's a 5, he now becomes a 6 threat. So it's still, all the points, everything still adds in. This is just a power boost. In this case, we have an example of the card. I don't know if this is the actual card, excuse me, or it is just an example, like maybe it doesn't seem very powerful. That's the reason why I'm hoping it's not. This is not the actual card. Anyways, the Infinity Mind Stone. It's a superpower. Cost 2 power to use. Choose an enemy character within range 3, which I think is about 6-7 inches, and advance it a short range. The superpower may only be used once per turn. So basically, you're using the power of the Mind Stone to force somebody to come forward, an enemy character. I'm hoping that's not it. I'm hoping it's a little bit more powerful than that. But the gem bearers, they might have their own special powers, like, hey, if he has or she has the Infinity Stone or Infinity Gem, she also has this ability that's activated with her having it. So I'm hoping that's what it's going to turn out to be. Oh, good morning, Nam. And Nam actually makes a good point. I just saw your post. It has actually, compared to Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, even Underworlds, Warhammer Underworlds, Kill Team, and goodness, not Kill Team, but well, maybe Aeronautica. Oh no, still it's about the same price. It's cheaper than getting into any of the Games Workshop games. So it's just something to consider. And you buy the box set right off the bat, which you don't have to do, but I really highly recommend you do. You buy that box set, and bam, you have everything you need to play the game. That's it. You don't have to buy more if you don't want to. So by the end of the year, by the way, this is where I'll be coming into the rumors. By the end of the year, we're supposed to be at 49 characters if my rumor source is correct. This Friday we'll be at 21 characters, I believe. No, 23 characters at the end of the week. So by the end of the year, by December, we're going to be getting another 26 characters. 49 characters is freaking huge. Think about this. If you look at, well, you don't have to get those characters, Nam. Those of you on YouTube, Nam said 49 characters. Okay, now it's expensive. Yes, but that's only if you want those characters. But all those characters, those 49 characters, and with the average of being about 5 characters per team, that's essentially 10 factions by the end of the year. Right now, we're sitting at about 4 to 5 factions, or by the end of the week. That's huge, and that's I think somebody did the math. If we based it on 5 characters, I think it was like 600 different possibilities, team possibilities. I don't know. We'll have to do the math again, but with 23 characters, with the average being 5 in a group, the combinations are hundreds. Let's put it that way, hundreds of combinations. So essentially, you have hundreds of factions. Those of you familiar with playing like any GW games or Malifaux, Infinity, you have that many factions available because each character is technically their own faction. All right, so enough of this. 49 characters by the end of the year. Yay. About 2 weeks, so it should put us in about March is when we'll be getting the next Ultimate Encounter. Those of you not familiar with Ultimate Encounters, that is the multiplayer mode where they soup up a supervillain, or sounds like they'll be doing a hero in the future. And that one player will play that character, and possibly like another component, like right now, the Doomsday device that Ultron has is kind of like another character. We might see something like that similar. Anyways, that one player will play against 2 other players, or really kind of 3 other players, or however you want to break it down. You're looking at an equal amount of power level, which could be a team, 2 teams of 5, could be a team of 3, team of 4. Anyways, however you work out the point value. So you could have multiple players against one player and kind of spread the love. So at any rate, at the end of the month, or 2 weeks from this Friday, from its release, supposedly, Hela is supposed to be getting a Ultimate Encounter. Whether that's going to happen right away, I don't know. But Atomic Mass Games, who's producing this, has been really great about putting new content out. If they're not putting out a new model, they're putting out new content. So it's definitely worth looking into if you want just another game that's not as stressful and as messed up in rules. And you know what? There's no Iron Hands. I mean, somebody might have an Iron Hand, but there's no Iron Hand Space Marines or Eldar or any of these Tau Empire. It's just a bunch of Marvel characters running around, kicking the crap out of each other and scoring objectives. All right, so let's move on. At any rate, give it a try. I mean, at least take a look at the rules, guys and gals. And if you're in the Cypress, Houston area, let me know. You can join the Houston Marvel Crisis Protocol Facebook group and or send us a message saying, hey, I want to play the game. I want to learn how to play. I just don't want to tell my friends because I'd be embarrassed because I'm a hardcore 40K player. We'll be discreet. We won't tell anybody. And then because once you play the game, you'll love it and you'll tell your friends about it. All right, moving on. Boy, should I start with the nasty, salty rumor or should I talk? Yeah, let's talk. No, let's not talk about that yet. A couple days ago, I think it was Monday. It could have been Monday or it could have been last week, but I think it was Monday. I mentioned that Blackstone Fortress and the Silver Tower were going to be getting a whole bunch of updates throughout this year. And in the case, we've already seen that in the case, and it was obvious. We saw that in the case of Blackstone Fortress. Games Workshop is just taking all those already made miniatures, those snap fit or single pose models that they've released with the goodness, what's it called? The Dark Imperium box and the First Strike box, and I forget what the other one is, but all those cheaper starter boxes. So all those free models that they've had in there, they're taking them out now, or at least that's what it's looking like, and they're going to be taking those kits and going, here we're going to put them in Blackstone Fortress because it doesn't cost us anything to make a new we don't have to make a new set of models. We just have to print up a new box, some cards for the game, package it, and people are going to buy it. And you know what? They're going to buy it because it's a very, very solid game. I highly recommend you give it a try. It's definitely difficult to play. It's not an easy game to play. Yes, you can play it solo, by the way. So the other one I talked about is Silver Tower. I was wrong, or at least the information passed to me was wrong. Now, I'm not going to have the volume playing, but you can go to YouTube and look for Warhammer Quest, the Silver Tower. I totally missed this, guys. I wasn't even aware that this was a thing, that this is even a thing coming. This is just the announcement trailer from Per Chang Games. I hope, since that name to me strikes me as a Chinese name, I'm hoping that Games Workshop is not going to be in bed with the Chinese government like Disney and Blizzard, Activision, all those, NBA, all those that pretty much have bent the knee to China and their censorship and all that jazz. So I'm hoping that we don't see anything like that taking place here once they get their hands on the game and the IP. Hopefully this won't be an issue. I'm hoping it's just going to be one of their silly little games. But this is the announcement or the upgrade that was coming. So I guess that makes more sense than them putting out a new miniature expansion for the Silver Tower, because they've already had a number of those expansions out. I totally forgot about that, and then of course this popped up a couple days ago. So my bad. I'm not really been out of shape out of it or worried about it. Sometimes the information we get is wrong, and this happened to be one of those wrong pieces of information. Well, it was right. It just wasn't what I was hoping for, I should say. So I was hoping that Games Workshop would update the Warhammer community page as usual. I am not going to be doing too much focus. This popped up just a little bit before I started the show, so I don't have a good grip on it, but we'll talk about it very briefly. And we do have a rumor I'm going to be getting into. I've got actually rumor and a leak. So those of you that are actually viewing today, you're going to get a little bit of a leaked information. So we'll see how this goes. I'm not sure what it means. I'm really confused by it, but we're going to roll with it. Okay, so first off, let's talk about this war cry. A whole bunch of new war bands are going to be dropping real soon. I don't know if they'll be getting their own boxes, but they're going to have their own rule sets. They're going to have their own card packs. So if you already have these models, then you just need to buy the card packs and you're good to go. So far, this is looking okay. The Sylvaneth look okay. What's going to be concerning, okay, Stormcast, yay, is a whole bunch of their casters and sequitors and whatnot. Not too bad. Now it's our third Stormcast Eternal pack, by the way. Seraphon, this is where I'm going to start getting slightly concerned with the direction of Warcry. This is supposed to be a small war band of a whole bunch of like cheap or elite fighters duking it out over the 8 points. Now my concern is we got Skinks, Source Warrior, Source Guard. Okay, those make sense. Even they could even have tossed in a Croxagore. I would have been pretty cool with it, but they don't make a plastic Croxagore right now, if I remember correctly. I think it's still Finecast. Now my concern is the Pterodon Riders, the Ripper Dactyl Riders, and the Saurus Knights. Now we're starting to get into large scale models, not only as the monsters that you can fight and tame or capture to fight on your side, but now we're starting to see them in your force. And you might be like, John, this is just good morning, Texas Wargamer. This is just one army. I mean, look, the Sequitor or the Stormcast don't have it. The Sacrosanct Chamber doesn't have it. The Sylvaneth, with the exception of the Kyrnoth Hunter, I mean, that's not really even a big model. So what are you worried about? Well, let's talk about the Maggot Kin of Nurgle, who just got their first, Underworlds just got their first warband. But, so look at this guy, Puscoil Blight Lords, those guys flying around on the Blight drones or Blight flies or whatever they're called, those giant monsters. I'm all right with the Putrid Blight Kings. That makes sense. I could see that happening. But putting this big, scary flying monster guy in there just seems like it's about to tip the balance of the game dramatically, including these guys right here, where speed, movement is a huge part of playing Warcry. Huge part. And these look like they're going to exceed movement, or going to make it, basically make it a joke. And then Magnekin and Nurgle, I can even understand. I can get with the demons. I can understand Nurglings, Plague Bearers, Beasts of Nurgle. Yeah, no problem. Once again, though, here we are with Plague Drones. I don't know. I mean, the Beast of Nurgle is already pushing it, but the Plague Drones now, hey, I can fly. I can move over terrain. But it doesn't stop there. Hedon Knights of Slaanesh, Hellstriders, Seekers, Demonettes makes sense. And then Fiends. I mean, it's just like they're upping the power level of this game that was supposed to be small and contained and about in these individual war bands. Now it's now starting to take a entirely new direction. I was still okay with them putting out the monsters like the Ogroid, Myrmidon, and that Sphinx creature. All those made sense because especially if you're playing the campaign. The narrative aspect, you're traveling along, and that's when you encounter these creatures. You can tame them to fight for you for a period of time, whatever. But now we're starting to up the power level, and we're not done. Blades of Corn, Bloodletters, Fleshhounds. Okay, makes sense, right? Well, let's go ahead and toss in Blood Crushers too. An incredibly powerful unit, but still kind of in the realm of okay, but not really. I mean, that's once again turning up the power level. And then we get down to Blades of Corn. Okay, Blood Reavers, makes sense. Blood Warriors, Wrathmongers, perfect. I get it. Those all make perfect sense. And even the Skull Reapers. But let's throw in Korgorath. I mean, let's just throw in basically a living, breathing dreadnought. I mean, it's a massive model, guys. I mean, it's just like they're just pissing on the concept of their game, and it's only been out for not even a year yet, and they're just like, you know what, we feel like we need to up it, and I feel like they're just pissing on the whole concept that they came out with. I think, eventually, you could eventually increase, but the game's only been out a year. This to me. Excuse me, I scratched my back. This to me is almost a cry of desperation. I feel like maybe Warcry has not sold well, and they're panicking a little bit, perhaps. And they're like, okay, well, what do we do? We don't want to make a whole bunch of new units. So, oh, look, we have all this stuff that is just kind of lingering around. And let me tell you about lingering around. Let me roll back up here. The Maggot Kin of Nurgle, the start collecting boxes, got pulled from the shelves. So, oh, what do we do with all these Puscoil Blight Lords and all the putrid Blight Kings that were in that box? Well, let's go ahead and repackage it, and let's repackage it and sell it for Warcry. This right now, with the exception of the Seraphon, I don't know. I think this is just a very bad move. I think it's just a bad move to increase the power level of this game. Look, like Texas Wargamer said, I think it's like when they added elites to the kill team. I think it was okay when they added elites. That was okay because the elites weren't overpowering. But when they added in commanders to HQ choices into kill team, that just kind of threw the game out of whack, in my opinion. And in this case, in some of the stuff, they're more elite models. Okay, I get it. But basically throwing in a dreadnought and heavy cavalry into a game where it's supposed to be a bunch of guys battling it out around the ruins is now turning this into a skirmish battle game instead of just a skirmish game. It's almost like playing a low point game of Age of Sigmar, and a lot of these models are the ones that they've pulled from their box sets. So I'm a little disappointed that they've gone this route, but who am I, right? So let's go over here. This is another one that kind of threw me for a loop, and I do have a rumor coming up in just a moment. Just bear with me. So their endless crusade not to release the rest of the Sisters of Battle leads us to the rest of the next week's releases, which is going to be a whole bunch of Necromunda stuff. Yay! That stuff goes on pre-order this week because, we as players, we've been calling out for House Goliath to have a 160 page, that's double the size of our standard codex for Warhammer 40,000 or Battle Tome. So we've been calling out for it. I know you've been begging for it. I've been begging for it. We wanted a House Goliath. We actually wanted all of the Necromunda gangs to get their own double-sized codex hardback for about $50 to $60. We've been wanting that for a while now because we play Necromunda so much. We needed a double-sided or a double-sized codex for the game that we play all the time. Really, this game that was supposed to be a very simple game to get into, that was supposed to be where you can pick up in one of the annual books and have about 5 or 6 of the different gangs in there, that was supposed to be easy to play. We've actually wanted this game to have a major increase in price, and Games Workshop heard us. They did. We had our $290 Chaos or Dark Uprising box to get into Necromunda. Thank you, GW. We really appreciate that. And now we're going to have this $50, $60 book called The House of Chains, which is a total focus on House Goliath, that gang. I'm really excited. I'm very thankful that Games Workshop listened to us, listened that we enjoy these small-scale games that are easy to get into. I'm glad that they increased the prices. There, GW. There. I'm a little salty right now. I'm getting even more salty thinking about this. Come on, Games Workshop. What the F, guys? Anyways, hey, stunning artwork. Really love the artwork. This is really cool. I'm digging it. Oh, look, a whole bunch of new fighter types. Yay! New weapon profiles, new models. Yay! New gear, new equipment, hanger-ons. Oh, look, even a whole bunch of new guys that are coming out. So we're gonna looks sounds like we're gonna get about 10 new models for House Goliath. That includes these probably type of characters I didn't even read because I'm so disgusted with this. Uh, I'm sorry for being salty, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just very upset that Games Workshop is now, I didn't believe it for years, but now seems to be pushing a lot of new people out of the hobby with the increases in these prices. And yeah, I get it, Brexit and the whole China tariff thing going on, it has legitimately hurt the economy. But there is no reason to be adding on a bunch of junk that we didn't ask for. Once again, I'm being pissy. Now, here's the other thing that kind of makes me mad is they're kind enough, and I wish they would do this for Warhammer 40,000 Age of Sigmar, gave us a roadmap for 2020. So we now know what's coming out the rest of the year. That this is actually a cool thing. It also pisses me off, but it's a cool thing. We do see now, coming Q1, House of Chains. We know that's next month. We know that, that'd be our Q1. I think that's their Q3. So Q2, which should be March, April, May. Yeah, March, April, May. House of Blades, and then after, so on and so forth. Awesome. I only look forward to it because of the possibility that we might see a really awesome Clan Escher models. But still, it just seems... It just seems like it's a slap in the face to the consumer, to the players, to be doing stuff like this. They kept the buy-in for this really low, for everybody to jump into, like $25 or $30 annual books that had not only updates for the different gangs, but also new gang information, new bounty hunters, new hired guns, new maps and everything. But now this is a greed thing. Instead of just updating that information in these books, now they're going to basically force us to purchase these hardback books for probably about $50-$60. 160 page book. Who asked for that? Why? How can you justify? Good morning, Grandpa. How can you justify making a 160 page codex or rulebook or whatever for a Necromunda that was supposed to be a cheap buy-in, which so far has been, the buy-in the books has been great. But now you want to give us a 160 page hardback book with all the rules for House Goliath, which there's not that much. Okay, not maybe 40 pages worth, and maybe another 20-30 pages of lore. Cool. But how do you justify 160 pages for one gang when you can't even do a 160 page book for like a Space Marine Codex or Tau Codex? I mean, those have more history that people would just love to read, but you jam-pack those books full, like about 10-15 pages of color or photo art. Okay, thanks. And then some rules, and then like snippets of lore. Screw that. Stop doing this and stop raising the prices of Necromunda, man. Come on. Oh, it's hurting my brain. I'm getting upset. Woosah. I'm very upset. Texas Wargamer says do you think that they are floating away from the new image they've tried to build for themselves over the past couple of years? Something I'm thinking about, as I've noticed that with the price increases, that all these big power moves that they're doing, they've got to pay for all this new multimedia that they're doing, and all these new directions, the movies, the anthology cartoons, all advertisements, everything they've been doing, they've really stepped up their production value. How do they pay for all that and hand out like $2,000 or $3,000 bonuses to every employee? Well, increase the prices. Increase the prices. It's like, hey, you're welcome, community. We're going to keep giving you more stuff. We're going to go ahead and increase the prices of everything unfairly, 20-25% increase, but don't worry, you're still getting the same fantastic quality product that we've always put out, miniature wise. Can't say too much about the rules, but we're not here to talk about that because we're a model company. Now, you're going to get the same quality of models, same level of releases, like the same number of releases every month and throughout the year. You're going to get all that from us because, we care about you. But we're going to go ahead and, for no particular reason, since we're not really hurting, but we want to do all this other stuff, we're going to make you guys pay about 20-25% more, which, once we get to a stable point where we don't need to have those price increases, we're not going to reduce the prices, because if we do reduce the price of our product, that depreciates it. That's why we never have sales, mind you. So that's, but we know that you, as the consumer, as the player, the hobbyist, you love our product, so you are just going to suck it up and you're going to pay that 20-25% increase. You're going to buy into this stuff that you don't need, but we're going to force it on you and you're going to enjoy it. So, yeah, I'm a little salty, guys. Sorry, I woke up on the wrong side of bed. Yeah, Texas Wargamer, for those of you on YouTube. But if they are using the model prices to produce the media, that's just wrong. If you can't support a branch till it's released and then build up income for the branch through services it generates, that's just a pain in the arse. Yeah. Now, mind you, that's my view of this, because I'm trying to find a way to justify for them the 20-25% increases that they've been doing across the board. And I have not found a valid reason except for to pay for all the new stuff. Let's look at this. The movies. Well, movies. I'm just going to say the movies, which also the cartoons, whatever. Just movies, TV shows. They've got to pay for that. All the high production value of the models, or not models, but all the videos they've been doing. Just absolutely outrageous. Awesome. Great videos, but they've got to pay for that. All the new studio equipment that they've done, the new expansions to their home offices that they've done, the hiring of new staff. How do you pay for all that? Well, especially after you gave out like £1 million+ pounds or £2 million to all of your employees after having a great year. What do you do to recover from that and pay for all this new stuff? Well, you pass on that cost to the consumer. It's the same thing with Brexit and China tariffs and all that. If that stuff is affecting them, how do they recover? Well, increase the prices 20-25%. And that's what's been happening. We've seen about a 20% increase, and instead of going, hey, we're repricing Dark Imperium. Let's say they were to reprice Dark Imperium. We would be outraged. We'd be upset. But how do they get around that? Hey, here's a brand new box set of 2 different armies playing each other with new models in it, at least 1 new model each in it. You're going to need this. This is the new starter set, or 2-player starter set for Warhammer 40,000 or Age of Sigmar. This is great for you guys. You got great value, everything else. Oh, by the way, it's now, $30, $35 more expensive than the previous box. So it's not $160 anymore. It's now $190. So, or $180, $190. I imagine the next box, and I'm going to predict it right now, the next box from Games Workshop for Warhammer 40,000, if it is a new start box like the Dark Imperium, it's going to be $210. Watch. or it's going to be very close to that $210 mark. Mark my words. All right, Texas Wargamer. I believe if they cut their prices by 40-50%, the buying potential from new hobbyists would more than carry the new production cost. True, and Texas Wargamer, I agree with you. Hell, even if they were to go, hey, here we're going to do a 20%, 25% sale on all of our product, people would they would have this huge splurge of buying. However, as I said, to the investors, if they see a sale, a company-wide sale, or reduction in price, that is a signal that there's basically it's devalued, deappreciated. It's not that they're not doing well, and it's a signal that might mean that people might be selling stock. So it's kind of a weird catch. They put themselves into a position like, hey, we need to cover costs, so we need to go and increase prices, but now we can't walk it back because we'll never walk back our price increases. So it's really, we're kind of stuck, unfortunately. So, I would not be surprised, and when we saw this last year with them closing down 140, 160 eBay and or recaster websites last year. I think it was last year, yeah. Earlier last year, about 140 to 160-ish recasters and eBay stores, recaster websites and eBay stores last year. Cease and desist letters. In most cases, they just went in on eBay and on those different web servers. Actually, they didn't even a couple of the ones I was reading about, they didn't even go to the website and say, hey, you need to take this down. They actually went to the service providers and said, hey, this is what they're doing. Here's our letter from our legal letter saying you need to kill it. And that's what they did. They went and killed about 100 plus, 150, 160 websites. So it's really quite crazy. So what I'm trying to say is I would not be surprised if this year we see a huge, after the horrible disaster that's going on, epidemic, near pandemic that's starting over in China with the whole coronavirus, or now I think they gave it an actual official name, COVID-1 or something like that. I forget what it's called. But after that gets resolved, I would not be surprised if out of the Federation of Russia or the Russia Federation, whatever it is, and China, Hong Kong, Singapore, and it was got a couple of those recasters, that all of a sudden we see this huge explosion of recasters popping up. I would not be surprised. I'm not going to say, hey, go to those recasters. I'm just saying I'm not going to be surprised if we see a huge explosion of recasters. And the sucky part is when people go to the recasters to buy, that's a loss of profit from Games Workshop and Forge World. So how do Games Workshop and Forge World fix that? Well, they have to increase the prices to compensate for the loss of revenue. So we see, it's basically a very vicious cycle. We're buying one, and it's hurting them, so they have to increase prices to compensate. And it's going to get to a point that they're just going to start killing off product, because that's my prediction, is they're going to just start killing off product because they can't compete against the recasters. And we could just see the total collapse of Games Workshop. I'm super speculating right now. That could be like 5 to 10 years down the road. And that would really come down to how bad they increase their prices and how prolific the recasters are. We'll see. It's just something to think about. You buy the recast, which I've been guilty of in the past, or I don't know if it's guilt. Yeah, I'll say guilty of in the past, but they're kind of fueling the recaster market. I'm just saying. So let's get on to the rumor, because I realized that I've been being really salty today. Thank God I put the title today that I was being that it's there's a lot of salt today. I'm glad that I put that, because it is straight up legit. No, you're not. You're not derailing. You're not poking the sleeping price bear. One more time. We should all just buy 51% of GW stock and then tell them what they are doing wrong. You're right. We should. All right. So let's get on with this. Let me hide this and pull this up. So sorry. I'll see if I can make this a big screen. You don't see my big ugly face. So I made this too big. So we've seen these shipping manifests or port manifests before. Excuse me. So take a look there. The top line up there, it's highlighted. Excuse me. So Psychic Awakening, War of Spider Collector's Edition. Now, when we do see stuff like this, these manifests, which are easy, you can easily access them if you know how to find them. If you know how to find them. Now, these manifests don't always say this is what's coming. This is the new item. This is the new hotness. This is the sneak peek, neat leak that's coming out. All it does is say, hey, this is what's coming. So a lot of things that you have to pay attention to is, like an example, not too long ago, a lot of people were like, oh, there's a new Codex Adeptus Custodes coming out. Well, that wasn't true because they're not slated, and there was another barcode basically that was showing that there was limited quantity. It was only like 1,000 copies of the regular Codex edition. That's just a new codex. That's just not a new codex. That's basically a restock. We needed 1,400 Adeptus Custodes codexes. So, it's nothing necessarily new. So the War of Spider, no, Texas Wargamer, they're not making mega arachnids from 30K. So let me explain this. If you've been reading any of the Psychic Awakening books recently, I actually think it was in the last one, Ritual of the Dam. I had to double check. That's where I read it. I'm pretty sure because that's the last one I read. There's a little article in there about how some guardsmen were, not article, but like a little blurb. Since they're not doing this great job of doing all this storytelling, they put these little blurbs off to the side. And one of them was about this guard. It was a platoon or regiment, company, whatever. They came across a Eldar suit of armor. They're basically, I think they were protecting it or guarding it until it can get extracted, or they were running away with it. I forget what it was, but they had this armor, and then they got pretty much wasted, except for one commander who ended up getting similar. He got executed. Why can I not say it? Anyways, he got executed for doing it, for incompetence. But as I said, they pointed out it was a aspect warrior, a warp spider aspect warrior, or aspect warriors that it came in and wiped him out. So I'm not gonna lie. Well, I know what the word Texas Wargamer, I know how you spell it. I just can't pronounce it right now. I'm all tongue-tied. I'm still probably really salty from earlier. Man, I'm still angry about all that. Anyways, so this is one of those things where this is a legit thing because there's nothing out there like Psychic Awakening War of Spider, as far as I know. So this is one of those cases where you can look at these manifests and go, okay, this is legit. This is a leak. This is what's coming. This is one we weren't even expecting. So they did say that every book will at least have 2 factions in it, but they never said that they wouldn't put more factions in it. So that comes back to me thinking about the Necron, what I was predicting the Necron Codex, or not Codex, but the Psychic Awakening book with the Necron. I was predicting it was going to be the Necron, the Eldar, and I forget what the other, or the Harlequins, and one other. I want to say it was Adeptus Custodes. but I think now it's Adeptus Custodes and Death Guard. So, Death Watch. There we go. Death Watch, Harlequins, Necrons, and Sisters of Battle. There we go. But there's nothing saying that they can't put Aspect Warriors in there as well from the craft world. We might see some more coming. So War of the Spider could involve that. So there's a lot that we still don't know, and they have not said that they can't add more faction stuff later, or they include faction stuff later on. I mean, it's all plausible. This is a weird one, and one that I have already shot out a couple emails and Facebook messages saying, hey, look into this for me. Please, please, please give me some information. I'd love to get the scoop on this. So as soon as I have something, ladies and gents, this just popped into my inbox last night. So we will see if I can get the information for everybody else. This definitely bears a lot of looking into because it really throws a monkey wrench into our way of thinking about how they are releasing these psychic awakenings. Is it going to end once all the factions are done? Which is another option. Is once all the factions are done, is it going to end, or are they going to keep doing psychic awakenings? I don't know. There is nothing saying that, hey, once we're done featuring all 24 factions, we're going to stop. Or then that's point one. Point two is there's nothing. They've never said that we're only giving each of the 24 factions one appearance in one book, when they never said that they were not going to be bringing them back. So we could, and from the looks of this, looks like we might be seeing a return of the probably the Craft World Eldari. So, or the Asinari or Assholes, I'm not sure what they're called. But that's something to be paying attention to. So with that, that's the last bit of rumor. Actually, it's not even really rumor. That's more of a confirmation. That's a confirmation of a leak of something that we have not seen. And the fact that I have to double check that date, but date produced, this was shipped, and the purchase order date produced was December 30th. So this could very well be our May release. Yeah, May or June, because technically we should be seeing the end of all this in June, which was my prediction from last year, based on the information we had. So this could be the May or June book, ladies and gentlemen. Probably, my guess, it's probably the May book, and then the June book will be the ending with Death Guard and the Adeptus Custodes, which July/August we'll see probably this new edition for Warhammer 40,000, which will then lead us into this kind of adds on to our understanding that the Adeptus Custodes were going to be one of the first new codexes of this year, full codexes in the fall. So this timing could work out well. We might see this. Who knows? That new box set could be Talons of the Emperor versus Death Guard. I don't know. Some stuff to think about. All right. I've talked long enough. I need to go hydrate because I have definitely too much salt intake today. I'd love to apologize, but you know what? I'm sure you all have the same level of frustration I do with Games Workshop, and maybe you got a good chuckle out of me being cranky pants about it all. At any rate, y'all have yourself a wonderful day. We're almost at the weekend. Don't be like me today and be salty and grumpy. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the rest of the week. And the weekend's right around the corner. Oh, if you are in the Cypress, Texas or Houston, Texas area, this weekend at the Atomic Hobby Shop, they're having a gamers flea market. It's where you can bring your old stuff in, set up on a table, sell it for basically store credit, and buy yourself that new army that you've been looking to start, that Marvel Crisis Protocol you've been dying to get into, this is an excellent opportunity for you to do all that. So that starts, I think, at 10 or 11. Just jump on our Facebook page and find out. But 10 or 11, the earlier you get there and set up, the more space you'll have to set up. So watch for that. I'm going to get going because I am super angry at Games Workshop right now. I am very salty and angry. So I'm going to go take some blood pressure medicine and drink some water. You have yourself a wonderful day. I'll talk to you on